ध्यानमूलं गुरुर्मूर्ति पूजामूलं गुरुपरं मन्त्रमूलं गुरुर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरुकृपा। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ श्री माता पिता चरणकमलभ्यो नमः। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते रामचन्द्राय। ॐ नमो भगवते नारायणाय। ॐ नमो भगवते रुद्राय। श्रीरामचन्द्राय नमः। श्रीहनुमते नमः। श्रीवेङ्कटेश्वराय नमः। दुन्द्रिगाय नमः। श्रीलक्ष्म्यै नमः। श्रीसरस्वत्यै नमो नमः। महाकालीमाताय नमो नमः। बं भैरवे नमः। ॐ ब्रह्मणे नमः। नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नमो भगवते केशवाय। नमो भगवते माधवाय। नमो भगवते गुणाय। नमो भगवते नरसिंहाय। नमो भगवते दामोदराय। नमो भगवते वामनाय। नमो भगवते उपेन्द्राय। नमो भगवते पुरुषोत्तमाय। नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। Sit down, everybody. Sit down, everybody. Okay. Today's the last day of satsang, you know that? So no more days to come and listen to Ram Katha or Bhagavad Gita or any of the bhajans. So before we continue, could we get everybody in VIP to come in general? So I don't have to keep turning my head this way. So a whole bunch of chairs. Come, fill these chairs here first. It's easier for me to watch straight forward. Easier for you to watch straight forward. This evening's katha comes from the Tulsidas version of the Ramayan, brought here by our ancestors, kept alive through the great tradition of all our pandits, acharyas and sadhus. The connection with God himself, who has over time come again and again to show the truth, the way and the light, the pathway forward, and the path we should all adopt and take in our day-to-day lives. So much so that amongst all the avatars of Mahavishnu, the preserver of the creation, the one known as Rama, the son of Dasharath and Kausalya, the great prince of Ayodhya, was born as a baby in the palace of Kaushal, grew up as a young child, a young boy, a teenager, adolescent, became married, became his own person, his own being, representing his fathers and grandfathers and great-grandfathers named through the dynasty of the sun. Through the heritage and traditions by which he was brought up, he was able to leave such a lasting mark on the history of this universe, and more so this world, that up till today we still chant his name, Sri Rama Jaya Rama Jaya Jaya Ram. The opening verses of the Ramayan are known as the Mangalacharan, and these dictate that we bow our heads before, firstly, Lord Sri Mahaganapati, the remover of all obstacles, to Saraswati Mata, the goddess of speech, wisdom, learning, music and education, Bhagwan Shiva, who is the first orator of this great text, which was at that time simply a conversation between him and his wife Parvati. Then it became a discussion from Garud to Kapushunda, Bharadwaj Muni, and then it was discussed among the 7 sages, the Saptamandal, the Saptarishis, the great ones, headed by Narada, who then imparted this great knowledge to a highway robber who was known as Valmiki. It is by the divine intervention of Lord Sri Hanuman Swami, who was able to change the life and the ways of he who would have become Sant Tulsidas, and inspiring Tulsi to rewrite the Sanskrit text of Valmiki, which was difficult then to understand and is still difficult now. He rewrote that great book in the language of the people of the time, Bhasha Nibandhamati Manjulamatanoti, and allowed it to be discussed far and wide. That is a text which was held in the hearts of our families when they crossed the great dark waters, and that is what kept them alive and kept their spirits going, kept their hearts filled with promise of hope. For he who was able to search all of the Bharat Desh for his kidnapped wife, he who was able to bridge the ocean, a bridge that still stands today, he who was able to destroy all negativity in the form of the demon race, that hero, Rama, with his trusted companion, Hanuman Swami, was a beacon of hope, courage, bravery, and success. That is how we as a people, as Hindus, have been able to survive within the diaspora of Trinidad and Tobago, Suriname, Guyana, Canada, Mauritius, Seychelles. In that, the practice of Ramayan Katha, of Bhagavatam Katha, the chanting of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and the Puja Vidhi is in some places carried out even in more detail and in a better system than many parts of India. The text, which was committed to memory and discussed amongst the barracks of the cane fields in the 40s, 50s and 60s, has now been able to be found in libraries, even in English as well. It is from that text, one example is given, when the house of Dasarath was plunged into mourning. In the same way, many households, including this one, has had to experience the passing of someone. It is from there we took a few verses a couple days ago. It is from there we shall continue the discussion of Ram Charitamanas. Siyapati Ramachandra ki Jai. Bow your heads, close your eyes. We seek permission to have what is written be brought to speech and music, so that the discussion can be of use and value to all of us who are here. May the discussion here today allow for further conversation, to have God's word reverberate in our hearts and minds, cleansing this house, this home, and freeing from the pangs of separation and distress all our hearts as we pray and ask for the betterment of the soul of God's very own child, as we pray for the strength to face the days, weeks, and months ahead. Hari Om. Varnanam Radasanganam Rasanam Chandrasamapi Mangalanam Chakarataro Vande Vani Vinayako Bhavani Shankaro Vande Sraddha Vishwaswarupino Yabhyam Vinana Pashyanti Siddha Swantastamishwaro Vande Bodhamayam Nityam Gurum Shankara Rupinam Yamastrito hi Vakropi Chandra Sarvatra Vandyate Sita Rama Gunagrama Punyaranya Viharino Vande Vishuddha Vigyano Kavishwara Kapishwaro Urbhava Sthiti Samhara Karinim Kleshaharinim Sarvasreyaskarim Sitam Natoham Rama Vallabham Yanmaya Vashavarti Vishwamakilam Brahmadi Deva Sura Yat Sattvadrama Shaiva Bhati Sakalam Rajjo Yatarher Brahmaha Yat Pada Plavamekameva Hibavam Bhodeshtitir Shavatam Vandeham Tamashesha Karanaparam Ramakyamisham Harim Nana Purana Nigamagama Sammatam Yad Ramayane Nigaditam Gachitanyatopi Swanta Sukaya Tulasi Raghunate Gata Bhasha Nibhandamati Manjula Matanoti Bhasha Nibhandamati Manjula Matanoti Siyapati Ramachandra ki jai. Before we go into the Sumiran, which is the invocation, we join in a bhajan to Lord Sri Mahaganapati, Lord Ganesha. Jai Ganesha Gan Nath Daya Nidhi Sakal Vigan Kar Dur Hamare Jai Ganesha Gan Nath Daya Nidhi Sakal Vigan Kar Dur Hamare Lambodar Gaj Padna Manohar Lambodar Gaj Padna Manohar Kar Trishul Par Shuvar Dhare Sakal Vigan Kar Dur Hamare Jai Ganesha Gan Nath Daya Nidhi Sakal Vigan Kar Dur Hamare Riddhi Siddhi To Chamar Dulavat Riddhi Siddhi Do Chamar Dulavat Riddhi Siddhi Do Chamar Dulavat Mushik Vahan Paramaskare Sakal Vigan Kar Dur Hamare Jai Ganesha Gan Nath Daya Nidhi Sakal Vigan Kar Dur Hamare ब्रह्मानंद सहाय करो नित ब्रह्मानंद 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 सहाय करो नित भक्त जनों की परम सुखारे सकल विघ्न कर दूर हमारे जय गणेश गण नाथ दयानिधि सकल विघ्न कर दूर हमारे सकल विघ्न कर सकल विघ्न कर सकल विघ्न कर दूर महागणपति स्वामी की जय। सियापति रामचंद्र की जय। Come, sit. You back? Oh, you're watching the kids? Okay, yeah. No worries. Welcome again to Satsang. And I think I've only been called back because there's a part 2 to the Katha we started. And also because we started late the first day. So I did promise if we get a good time, enough time, we'll do the rest of the discussion. Again, Ramayan is the preferred text of Ramanandis. Ramanandis are those who follow the Swami known as Rambhadracharya, Guru Ramanand Swami, who is just simply a teacher, just like how you have Satya Sai Baba, just like you have Sri Swami Ganapati, or, Jesus Christ himself, Prophet Muhammad, any of the great teachers, Buddha, any of the world's great teachers, whichever version of the pathway to God they declare has worked for them. Once it works and they can prove that there's some sort of results, people will gravitate. Once something works and is a proven result, people will say, okay, I'd like to follow this person. In India itself, there are 4 centers called mats. In English, it's like M-A-T-H-S, not mats, but mats. The pronunciation is M-U-T-H-S, mat. A mat is a center for education, like a university, if you will. And each of these mats are presided over by one Shankaracharya. It's like the dean or the chancellor of the religious university. In these 4 places, whoever governs that, they are the ones that they go to for final decisions on many, many important things. And over the years, that's how we've come to have certain things like our lunar calendar. As you would appreciate, the Gregorian Western calendar is flawed, and that measurement of time is not really reliable. But the Indian Eastern system of calculation is way more precise. We have 30 days exact in a month. No more, no less. We don't have a 28th day a month, and sometimes 29, and then some are 30 and 31. No. We got 30 days going and coming. It's actually 14 days leading up to the new moon. With new moon day makes it 15. Then after that, we have 14 days going up to full moon, with the full moon itself making it 15. So 14 days and the new moon, and then 14 days and the full moon, again and again, new moon, full moon, new moon, full moon. 14 plus 1 is 15, 15 by 2 is 30, it doesn't change. That allows for the little shift when we have Shivratri and Diwali and the Navrat and all these things. So for us to understand, they say the Chaitra Navratri is March, April, and the Shivratri, which is this weekend actually, is usually February, March. You know, sometimes, most times, the Shivratri is just around Carnival weekend, most times. And then sometimes we have a 2-month Carnival, 1.5 months carnival. Sometimes it's a very early carnival, because that shifts just like how Lent shifts. But the Indian Eastern system of calculation is definite. That's why we also don't believe that horoscopes belong to a certain month or time frame. Just for you to know, in every single day, all 12 horoscopes govern the skies. In 24 hours, each horoscope has some time over which it presides. Therefore, two people can be born the same day, and they can be born in different times, like 6 a.m. and 6 p.m., and be two different people entirely. You would fall under two different categories of horoscopes. That's why they say there's two type of Aries and two type of Taurus, and you have a January Aquarius and a February Aquarius and that kind of thing. What they really mean is that people are born different times of the day within one day. So for example, 12 to 2 a.m. could be one horoscope, 2 to 4 a.m., 4 to 6 a.m., 6 to 8 a.m., like that. Within 24 hours, each of the 12 rasis or planets govern the skies, along with each of the interjections of the nakshatras, which are the constellations. So, this idea of time, this idea of the movement of God's work spans more than one thing. Ramanandis simply followed Ramanandacharya, and he chose Bhagwan Sri Ram as his personal deity. So therefore, the book that depicts every aspect of his chosen deity's life became his handbook for life. If we were, like again, from Orissa or even Mayapur, we'd be all ISKCON people, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. We'd be following Bhagavad Gita. And we'd be chanting different type of songs. If we had come from Maharashtra, we wouldn't do bhajans, Rav, we'd be doing abhangas. These are in Marathi, different language altogether. If we had come from South India, we'd be speaking Kannada and Telugu and Tamil, and all their bhajans sound so nice. Once upon a time, Hariharan came here and sang in the Nagar. And one of his favorite songs is a song called Tuhire. But the Tamil version is one of the most beautiful renditions you'll hear. That is South Indian music. Tamil poetry is some of the best you'll ever find. There are not many words that English could find to be equivalent to some Tamil poetry up till now. So because our people came from Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, the guru of that place was Guru Ramanandacharya, who believed in Bhagwan Sri Ram so much that up to little children from day one were taught about Ram, Ram, Ram. All they knew was Ram, Ram, Ram. They did not learn anything different. All they knew was Rama and Sita. That's why we have grown up to tell each other as a greeting, I greet you in the name of Sita and Ram. Follow? Chinmaya Mission from Mumbai. Is on? Chinmaya Mission from Mumbai. They greet you and they say Hari Om. The Kabir Pante, they say Bandagi Sahib. They greet you in the name of the Sahib. The followers of Satya Sai Baba, they say Om Sai Ram. But the followers and the descendants of Guru Ramanandacharya, they say what? Sita Ram. Sita Ram kaho Radhe Sham kaho. 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 सीताराम बिना कोई अपना नहीं. सीताराम बिना कोई अपना नहीं, राधे श्याम बिना सुख सपना नहीं, राधे श्याम बिना सुख सपना नहीं। सीताराम कहो राधे श्याम कहो, सीताराम कहो राधे श्याम कहो। सीताराम बिना दुख कौन हरे, सीताराम बिना दुख कौन हरे, राधे श्याम बिना सुख कौन हरे, राधे श्याम बिना सुख कौन हरे। सीताराम कहो राधे श्याम कहो, सीताराम कहो राधे श्याम कहो। सीताराम बिना बेड़ा पार नहीं, सीताराम बिना बेड़ा पार नहीं, राधे श्याम बिना उद्धार नहीं, राधे श्याम बिना उद्धार नहीं। भज मन नारायण नारायण नारायण, भज मन नारायण नारायण नारायण, स्वामी नारायण नारायण नारायण, स्वामी नारायण। सत्य नारायण नारायण नारायण, सत्य नारायण नारायण नारायण। सीताराम कहो राधे श्याम कहो, सीताराम कहो राधे श्याम कहो, सीताराम कहो राधे श्याम कहो, सीताराम कहो राधे श्याम कहो। सियापति रामचंद्र की जय। Okay. Ramayan Sumiran, then we go into Katha. Ramayan Sumiran sort of mirrors the Mangalacharan, but because it's back to back, in meaning it's similar. Literally, Jo Sumirata Siddhi Hoy. Sumiran means I sing the praises. Gananayaka Kari Bada Badana, Gananayaka is Ganesha. Mukha Hoy Bachal Panguchadai, Giri Baragahana. May that graceful Lord smile upon us and allow us to lift what is written to be shared amongst all of us who are here. Neela Saroru Hasham, the dark colored Lord who resembles the deepest waters of the ocean, which is to symbolize his compassion and his care for all of us. Kunda Indu Samadeha Ummaraman Karuna Ayana. May the delightful spouse of Uma, Shiva, Shankara Bhole Baba, he who is the easiest to please, may he be kind and allow his diction to be discussed in such a way that it would bring one, absolute pleasure to all those who listen, and two, the comfort of knowing that the Lord's name, which brings him the most amount of peace and happiness, should bring that same peace to all those who listen. Then it says, Bando Guru Padakanj. We bow again and again to the Guru, without whose grace we could never find a pathway to God. It is God who sends your Guru your way, but it is your Guru who helps you to find God eventually. Ramayan Sumiran. Jahi Sumirat Siddhi ho, Gananayak Kari Bada Badana, Karahu Anugraha So, Buddhi Rashi सदन मूक होई पाचाल पंगु हृदय गिरिवर गहन जासु कृपा सुदयाल द्रवु सकल कलिमल दहन नील सरो रहुषाम करुण अरुण बारिज नयन करो सुममोर धाम सदा क्षीर सागर सयन कुंद इंदु समदेहा उमारमन करुणायन जाहि दीन परनेह करो कृपा मर्दन मयन बंदो गुरु परकंज कृपा सिंधु नर रूप हरि महामोहतम पू जास वचन रवि करनी कर जासु वचन रवि करनी कर जासु वचन रवि करनी कर। सियापति रामचंद्र की जय। Ayodhya Kand, which is the second of the 7 books of Ramayana, after Doha number 172. It is where Bhaikhanas Soi Sochai Jogi, the Katha continues. And for those of you who weren't here, Tuesday, yeah. Let me just run through where it says from after, for those who are listening, we are not even able to escape the sound of the Great One's voice, because definitely his songs will be heard for generations to come. And like I so bravely said a couple days ago, I'm sure his voice and his style and his method of how to approach music is something that will be taught to many young singers and aspirants of music in generations to come. His method was meticulous. I discussed his attitude to timing and to melody and his pronunciation, something that many of these other singers, I mean, they simply glance over sometimes. But as you all know, these things like such an important part of music altogether. And there was none better at it in our industry, like King Bheem himself. And I was speaking to Dad after Tuesday's satsang, and Jinake Hriday Hari Naam Vase, the bhajan says, Jina Mata Pita or Seva Kari, the greatest service a child can do to their parents is to make them proud. And I was telling Uncle that I said, Papa, look, he took your name and made it, worldwide. And then he told me that his first name is Bheem. So his kids took their first name, his first name. So now many people didn't know you by that first name. Maybe when you were growing up, they called you by your last name. But look at how your son has made your name to be forever enshrined in the hearts of not just music lovers, but amongst all his peers. How it is that we are able to come to terms with the absence of someone. And Sage Vishishta Baite Rajasabha Sabajai in the courtyard, in the courtroom of the king, Bharat said, I am always succumbing to tears until Vashishta, the guru of the house, said, if it is you want to cry, don't cry for someone who achieved his purpose here on earth. And my friends, what is that purpose? That purpose is, say after me, is my favorite thing. Anup is fed up of hearing this. My friend, this is Anup Ramsundar, my favorite tabla player in the world. He's the son of Pandit Karan Ramsundar, and he heads the school known as Tabla Sangam in central Trinidad. He knows this next phrase like back of his hand. Your purpose on this earth, no matter what your vocation or your career is, whatever your choice of salary is, your purpose is the same. Your job is the same. Say after me. Say, to do as much good as I can for as many people as I can for as long as I can. Now apply this to all of your individual careers and see. You could be the musician, you could be the chef, you could be the tailor, you could be the taxi driver, you could be the sanitation engineer. I think we stopped saying garbage man. You could be the sanitation engineer. You could be, a teacher, engineer, mechanic, lawyer, politician. Okay, no, bad example. Scratch your last one. See? That's true. Musician, artist, entertainer. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki. So it's true. You apply what I just said to everybody's career and see. Take, for example, sanitation engineer. To do as much good as I can for as many people as I can for as long as I can. Meaning, simply pick up the garbage for as many homes or houses as he has to, for as long as he can make that everyday job. If one day the garbage is not picked up in our country, what happens? Cockroach, rats, worms, disease, sickness, all sorts of things. Just from someone picking up your garbage because you don't want to do it yourself. What about if all taxis had strike any one day? What happens? If all taxis, maxis and buses strike in one day, we come to a standstill. And choose every vocation, every career, choose that one career, let them strike one day in the year and see what happens. We dissolve into chaos. So your job, no matter what your career is to do as much good as you can, for as many people as you can, for as long as you can. So now, for example, me, the Pandit. My job is to do satsang and puja for as many people who call, best way I can, for as long as I can. Right after this, I'm going to head to Port of Spain for a music job. I may finish in the morning. As I get back from that, I have puja. And in the evening, another music job. And then Saturday, I have puja again. 2 pujas. Saturday evening, music again. And Sunday, I have Dimashkara. No, I have a breakfast party to mix that. Then I have Dimashkara in the evening. In between, I have puja. So one of my Raki sisters is going to drive me this weekend. So she and her husband are going to be the driving team. If it is, I would tell someone when Salim had called and said, Pandit, could you come do satsang? Many of the other Pandits who have yagyas and temples to attend to, they would say no for today, but I'm not attached to any temple in particular, so I'm free and available. Other than that, if you would have called any other group in particular, many of them have things to prepare for. And today's rehearsals all over the country for events over this weekend. If it is, I would give in to laziness, Uncle Ken, and say, I just don't feel like it. Then of what use is the ability to read the Hindi, play the harmonium, sing the bhajans, all these things? If you don't answer to your purpose, you are wasting that ability. If you don't answer to your purpose, then it is best you had not the ability in the first place. Think of it. Choose any one career and remove everybody in that career from the country and think what happens. If we had removed all doubles people in Trinidad or all roti shops, well, food in general, nobody could sell food. The only food you could have is food from your own house. Nobody could sell food anywhere on the outside. In a business or a shop or side of the road, nobody could sell outside food. Think, you see, you're already worried. From palkis to the Chinese store to everybody, breakfast shed, everything. My friends, everybody has their purpose. That's why in Ramcharitmanas, every episode of Rama's life can be applied to all of us here. So even when the great king, Raja Dashrath, had passed on, the questions that were brought up by Bharat were answered in such a way that even till this day, we can use them in our day-to-day lives. We can use them in our very own story of our lives. The sage said, don't cry for the great king because he has lived his life in such a way. Allow me just to run back through a couple of the chaupais and I'll just give the short meaning and then we'll go into detail of this evening's katha. अस बिचारी के ही देय दोसु ब्यारत काहि पर किजरोसु तात बिचारु करहु मन माही सोच जोग दशरथ नृपुनारी सोचिय विप्र जो वेद विहीना तज निज धर्म विषय लय लीना सोचय नृपति जो नीति न जाना जेहि न प्रजा प्रिय प्राण उभारा सोचिय पयसु सोचिय बयसु कृपा धनवानु जो न अतिथि शिव भगति सुजानु सोचिय शूद्रु विप्र अनुमानी मुकरुमान प्रिय ज्ञान गुमानी सोचिय पुनिपति पंचक नारी गुटिलक हल प्रिय इच्छाकारी सोचिय बतु निज प्रातु परिहारी जो नहीं गुर आयसु अनुहारी सिंह श्री राम जय जय राम सीता राम सीता राम श्री राम जय राम सीता राम सीता राम सीता रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। Don't cry for someone who lived such a perfect and complete life and now you'll challenge me and say, but we're supposed to live to, what, 100 years? Or late 90s? What is the proper lifespan these days? Huh? 60? So some of you overliving then? Actually, it's the expected lifespan I think now is around 88, 89. More or less. So that makes 60 the new 80, and no, 40 the new 60, and that means 20 is the new 40. Okay. That's why so much of these young children these days move so lazy, because they're 20 and they move like they're already 45. So, if we are to live just about 80 something years, more or less, 80, 90, your challenge to this first section is that God's son left just before 50 years old, so he did not live a complete life. And there, I'll tell you, you're wrong. How? Because, again, what is your purpose on this earth? Do as much good as you can. If your career has evolved into music, what does music do? Make people happy, make people sing, make people dance, create memories, and bring people together. At any point in time, during any of his performances, big, small, and in between, I think he more than achieved that in his lifetime. So, do as much good as you can through your music for as many people as he could. And again, one of the few people who crowd didn't matter for. Doesn't matter if you had 5, 10, or 10,000, that voice would ring clean and clear. Or like my Uncle Vishnu says, loud and clear. For as many people as you can, for as long as you can. And as all of us know, it is the very last thing he did. From performance in the rig to Avala restaurant and all these things. This is the very last thing he did. Do as much good as you can, for as many people as you can, for as long as you can, for as long as you can, up till your last living moment. Do what you were born to do. Do what that gift allows you to do. For as long as your parents have lived to a point where they smile when others speak of their children, you have achieved your purpose on earth. For as long as people, complete strangers, can smile at the simple mention of your name and not hang their head in despair, you have achieved your purpose on earth. For so long as after you're gone, your name is attached to all good things, you have lived your purpose on this earth, my friends. You have done exactly what God, our Father, Mother in the sky, has put you on this earth to do. My only regret is that, personally, my parents wanted me to become the pundit I am today, and my father passed when I was between what you call Standard 5 and Form 1, you know, that August holidays there. So he never knew that I had passed for, back in those days, you go for a 5-year school and 7-year school is a big thing and all that. So I went to St. George's actually, so 7-year school. So, but he never got to find out his son, did well. And then, as the angels write their books, when I was sitting my A-level exams in Sugar and Senior Comprehensive, Mom decided to go meet Daddy, and that was that. So she didn't know, in all the training that I had as a pundit, she could not have seen me sit on the Singhasan and have satsangs like these and all that. Mom left before there was even a Facebook. The only way you'd know stuff is if it was on the papers. And pictures weren't instant. You had to go and get the little black little plastic thing with the film in it. You had to go and carry it to develop, and you come back within a week. Only then, when the pictures print, if you make any mistake, if your eyes were closed or anything, imagine that. Nowadays, you take a picture, you don't like how your hair is fixed, Cheryl, you fix it back one time, you say, take the next one, you delete the picture and you go again. Technology has come so far, So, Mom doesn't know I have a Facebook page with 8,000 people following and all that. She'd be happy. She'd be right where you are, Mom, being in front to see. And then every time I make a mistake, she'd be like that. The majority of songs I know by heart is because I sat on the ground and she was on a chair and I learned the songs directly from her. There's one song I make a mistake in all the time because she learned the mistake and taught me the mistake. So I know this song like that. Only a couple of years recently I realized I was singing the wrong thing. One word really. Why am I telling you all this? Janamata pita ki seva kare. All a parent wants is for their child to be happy. That the effort they put in to raise them and to bring them up has borne fruit. All a child has to do is to make their parents proud. It says, do not shed tears for someone who has accomplished what God has put them on this earth to do. Don't pity the king because he cannot be blamed for anything. Bhupu Bharata, just a pita tumhara, O Bharat. There never was, and there never will be, O Bharat, another king like your father. There will never be another Raja Dashrath. And like I said Tuesday, there will never be another Raja Bheem. You could try how hard. Because if it is that you want to cry, you should feel sorry for certain people. Don't feel sorry for someone who lived such a life that their name is sung for years and years to come, that people wish to be them and want to emulate how they went about their lives. Feel sorry for some people. Feel sorry, and I said, you could quote me here. First Chaupai after Doha, 171 in Ayodhya Khan, the second book of the 7 books of Ramayan says, Sochi Abhipra Jobeda Bihina. Pity the Brahmin who is ignorant of the Vedas, who was born to study the books and teach others. He who has abandoned his religious duty and is engrossed in pleasures of the senses and is fooled by money. Feel sorry for the king who does not know how to fairly and justly govern his people. Once I did this katha and I said, Pandit, we don't have kings and stuff in Caribbean. What we could equate that with? And I was scared to say president or prime minister. But pity those who are in charge and don't treat everybody fairly. Pity and have some tears to put aside, to cry for the businessman, the Vaishya, who, if not for one day, does not charge for his services or gives back to society. And then he mentioned Brahmin, Vaishya, Shudra, Brahmin, Kshatri, Vaishya, now Shudra. And Shudra is not a class of people. Shudra is a mentality. You can think and live your life in such a way that you can either be having all the comfort in the world, or you can be at the lowest part, the lowest strata of society. He says, pity those low caste and low-minded people who are so envious and jealous of others that they wish to take from others by force what is not theirs. Feel sorry for all the thieves and bandits and robbers, because daily, by everybody who they exercise pain upon, they are booking their spaces in the lowest places of the hell that there is. It goes on to say, Sochi Yapuni Pati Banchakanari. Feel sorry, and this is not my words, I'll say it again. How to say it? The book says so. One of my friends, Pandit friend, says, scripture says. So the scripture says, grieve for that man or that woman who deceives their family entirely and supports and encourages the existence of another family entirely. That I don't have to read and spell for you. Grieve for those who, again, he comes back to the Brahmins and the saintly ones, who put a price on everything that they do and don't perform their duties out of charity, out of seva. I say, oh God, and people saying, Starboy, we ain't worried about people who come out. And then he had this big thing, he wanted to show up in a BMW and all that kind of thing, because he's the B-man. We well laugh. I also told him, I said, the day you buy a van, I'll well laugh at you. But we had to take out a BMW sticker and stick it on the Hilux or something. And then we had the launch, and it was wonderful that time. because he had put so much emphasis on the music itself. That year we had no uniforms for the launch. He was more concerned about the music. He said, put on what all you want. Just don't be half naked. Just put on. We were there. And since then till now, he can't be matched. And now sadly he'll never be matched. Thing is, Bhai Khasan soi soch jogu. Feel sorry for those who take pride and take joy in harming others. Don't feel sorry for a person who lived their life in such a way that they brought happiness to everybody. Feel sorry for those who live off of causing strife between families. Feel sorry and, feel sad. If you have tears, don't cry for someone who lived such a life that it is perfect in every way. Feel sorry for that person who makes their parents cry. Again, out of all the sins that exist in this world and the next, the greatest sin is to put your parents in such a place, in such a way, that you cause their tears to fall. For a parent to regret having you as a child, it is the greatest sin. God can't help you. Your days and nights in hell are said is beyond. You are absolving generations before you. You are saving generations before, because look at it this way. If you make your parents proud, full stop, that's one sentence. You are making now indirectly a grandparent proud who's also a parent themselves. Follow? It's not like Inception. It won't be that difficult. We're only going about 3 or 4 steps back. I won't confuse you too much. Child makes the parent proud. The parents' parents are proud, and the parents' parents' parents are proud. Going back, the happiness only multiplies, Because for the great-grandparents, they have 3 sets of people to be proud about. And if you go great, they have 4 sets of people to be proud about. The happiness expands and multiplies much, much more. You know, for example, Anil's great-grandparents. You know how many aunts and uncles on both sides of the family have to get the good news? That the one who caused so much happiness on earth is now coming back to heaven with the ancestors. You can imagine how many ancestors up there are waiting to listen, I could say. They had a packed chair, like how Skinner Park had a packed chair for CSM. Imagine, you go up there with the wireless and say, "Heaven, good night. Are you ready? But I see you." Just imagine how many ancestors on both sides of all the families. Because as you go more and more backwards, it extends. The sadness that you think you are experiencing is actually happiness in the heavens. And this is something, my friends, we can't measure. To continue from where we left off on Tuesday. See, we have more time today. This is the second part. This is the little bit more difficult part, all right? So bear with me as we go through these couple verses. Bhai Khasan soi sochiya jogu.
Bhai Khasan soi sochiya jogu tapu bahai jehi bhavai jogu sochiya visun akaran kodi janani janak गुर बंद विरोधी सब विधि सोचिय सब विधि सोचिय पर अपकारी निज तनु पोषक निर्दय भारी सोचिय सब ही विधिय सो जो न चारी चल हरि जन हो सोचनीय नहीं सोचनीय नहीं कौशल राओ भुवन चार दस प्रगत बहाओ भयो न अहई न अब होनिहारा भूप भरत जस पिता तुम्हारा विधि हरिहर सुरपति विसिनाता बरनी सब दशरथ गुणगान श्री राम जय 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 रामा श्री राम जय जय रामा श्री राम जय श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम श्री राम जय जय राम सियापति रामचंद्र की वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की. So I was telling about my day job brings us to the next verse. My day job is in music. I used to manage a company called MSI Sound, and we do weddings and birthdays and carnival shows, and we build trailers for the road, plenty UNC election, PNM election, trailers and that sort of thing. That's my day job. Pandatai don't mind me. That's why I can come and do satsang anytime. Anytime somebody calls, I'm happy to do satsang. This is my purpose. So the answer is always yes. And then I try to figure out, I call Anup afterwards. Could you go? Tuesday he said no, so then I had to call narration. I have a backup group. Even today I have to call Salim and say, you have a Majira? No. If I get one, you'll play it? Yeah. Ask Anup Sivaline. He went to the store today to buy a Majira for me before he came here. Because I checked home and didn't have one. So to say that I live from doing satsang and puja and stuff, no. Just don't mind me. I do this for free or for whatever I get, doesn't matter. My day job, putting up music and mixing bands, and that is paying me. So the person who sells the scriptures, they're in trouble. Pandit who says that to make a god is so and so amount of money, he in problems. Tabij do cost $1,500 and $2,500 people. At Tabij, $300-400 for the little shell. It's about $10 for a piece of the parchment paper, half as big as this Ramayan. And the ink is about $10 for a little vial. So $10 for the ink, $20 for the paper, about $300 for the vial, for the case, the shell. And I tell people, you buy what you want, gold or silver, copper, brass, and you bring it. You try and tell me it costs you $1,500 to full a tabij. And then they have price for wedding, and price for funeral, and price for... I don't recall a single time that my guru, Sadguru San Keshavadas, when he would come here from India and stay in all over the country, I don't recall a single time he charged me for learning from him. Pandit Dev Prasad, Ram Prasad from Macbean, Pandit Rishi Maharaj from Glaxon Bay, Pandit Ganpat Maharaj from Glaxon Bay, Pandit Kimraj Vyas of Charlieville, Pandit Lakshmi Prasad Maharaj from Taj Street, Taj Road. None of them charged me for learning anything. My good friend Pandit Navin over at Maharaj. None of them charge me for learning anything. Why should I charge for my services? So whoever it is charges and sets a price and say you must bring a full seat when you come by me to check patra and grahan, that kind of thing. Man, every cent they collect, they book in an extra day. If it is that's something you can do to help someone, you put a price on, you are dooming yourself, my friends. If your last plate of food, someone asks for it, you should give. And you say, Pandit, now we go starve. So let me show you something real quick before I go to the next verse. Everybody here, let's imagine, all of us are in a circle. How much of us here? About 30, 40? We make a circle, right? You have two plates in your hand. And this is a life lesson. This is for forever. Learn this for good. All of us are in a circle. We have two plates in our hand. One plate is full to the brim with your favorite whatever. For example, for me, we'll go with fried rice, kalaloo, macaroni pie, red bean, and maybe salad, some boiled plantain, and that kind of thing. Plate heavy. And in my next hand is an empty plate. All of us have our favorite dishes in one full plate. But the thing is, you can't eat from your food. All of us have to share little by little from the right side plate, the heavy plate, the one we brought, and make sure it's shared out to everybody who is here in everybody's left hand plate. Which means even mine, I'll get from all of you, all the rest of you here, I'll get in this plate. But I have to share with mine. One full plate of food plus or compared to 40 people giving me something from their plate, I might not have space. I will not have place. This is how life works. When you give of yourself or from what you have, you will get so much in return, you will not be able to count it. You will not be able to even have space for all of God's love, for all of God's care, for all of God's affection that comes back to you in the form of God's seva, God's blessing, in the name and face and shape of all of God's children. Every challenge that comes towards you is simply a blessing in a disguise of a challenge. It's for you to rise up and allow that to happen. The trick in facing all the tests that we have in life is not let the test itself break you. Once you go past that, all is well. There have been days, I tell you, how to say it, Scouts honor. There have been days where I had $1 in my pocket. I didn't know where to get things done, or how things were going to happen. And that very same day, somebody called, Pandit, my Pandit can't make. You could do a puja for me in the morning? Yep. Or like I'm always on call with since the COVID thing, I'm on call with DAS and guides and Pandit, 8 o'clock, COVID, you come in? Yep. Or like in this season here, somebody called, Gan, yep, we need an engineer. When? Tonight. Okay. Cool. Money will come. Do your duty and everything else will fall in place. If it is that the life of Raja Bheem didn't teach you this, it is not his fault that you don't understand. It's not his fault that you don't appreciate. Because if you knew him well, he lived his life for everybody else. And he lived his life through his music, through his efforts. That is why when it was time to leave the NCIC site, I was so heartened to see all the staff of 103 put him on their shoulders to carry him out. My friends, the Katha says, Sababidhi, pity and feel sorry. If you want to cry, don't cry for someone who God loves so much that he made their life a wonderful example. Feel sorry for he or she who cherishes themselves more than others and is jealous of those who have blessings that they wish they had. Anybody who forsakes their duty, you should feel sorry for them. Meaning, anybody who gives their word and does not live up to it, And again, I could go on giving you examples with Bheem, going and coming, going and coming. Once we were in Sting, in San Fernando. This is what they call the rig now, the club, opposite Gulf City. It had nobody in the audience. So you say, all right, fellas, we go practice. Because the owner said, I book you to sing. I don't know what happened that weekend and whatever it had, other places, we just had nobody. It was just us, the band, the bar staff, the security, and the potential cleanup crew. Well, nothing to clean because nothing was sold, you know. So. And 45 minutes, we had to sing. Say, all right, fellas, practice. Started Jannam, Jannam, and from there. One people, I had to say people. It was one people, or thousands of people, or no people. Still, you had to do what you had to do. You give your word. There are many people who you can count in your hands who give you their word and then they stand you up and all these things. The very fact that you disappoint people is a sin by itself. And the worst of all is to disappoint your parents. Bhupa Bharata, jasa pita tumhara. Tell me, O Bharat, who can speak ill of your father? Saba prakara bhupati barabhagi. Badi bisadu kariya tehi lagi. Your father was blessed in every single way. There is no use to grieve for him. There is no use. Why? Because there's nothing that he did that should cause sorrow. Any of his actions that has disappointed somebody, any of his actions that have disappointed people is what you should cry for. Hear this and be discreet and cease to sorrow. Obediently, you must submit to this command. This is the command of the kings before you and the kings before them. Your father has bestowed upon you, O child, the kingship of his name and the honor of his dynasty. Honor your father's memory. He gave his word into everything that he had to do, making himself an offering on a daily basis, being of service to the people. The king did not even value his life when it came to serving his people. He did not even value his life as much as Nripahi Bachana Priya Nahi Priya Prana. He valued his life in no way at all as much as he valued his word. Let me say that again. He did not value his life as much as he valued his word. Karahu tata pitu bachana pravana. Honor then your father's name. Honor your father's word. Bow your head to his memory. And don't allow it to be soiled or stained by salty tears. Your father's name should be glorified and should be set in such a high place that even those who don't know him, when they are told about him, will have the same respect for those who knew him inside and out. Anuchita uchita bicharuta ji, je palahi pitu baina, te bhajan sukha sujasake, basahi amarapati aina siyapati Ramachandra ki jai. Those who cherish their parents' words and names with no thought of right or wrong, they are crowned with happiness and glory and dwell in the abode of the King of Heaven. There is a surety. There is a surety of the happiness of your father. Why? Because it is the result of every single person he interacted with. Your father will receive all the comforts in heaven, and you, as a descendant, as a child, will earn the merit of the honor of simply carrying on his name. Bhira bhira sanmat sabahika, jihi pitu deiso pavara ika. It is said in the scriptures, in the Vedas, my friends, 174, Doha, Chaupai number 2 after Doha 174. It is said in the Vedas, as a sanction of the scriptures, that the crown of a good name, the crown of a noble surname, the crown of a good reputation can only be passed from parent to child. It is a burden upon the child's shoulders to maintain the glory of that name. But for someone like your father, who had such a blemishless character, that is no burden at all. O Bharat, the sage is saying, and I am saying to all of you, to carry a name like his is the easiest thing in the world, because his is a name that shall be connected to happiness and joy and the best music that our land has ever seen for ages to come. Have no remorse in this burden. It may seem like a lot. O Bharat, have no remorse in accepting the job of carrying on the great name of your father. Take this advice and follow it. Your brother Rama and Sita will be happy to know that you are carrying on the name of your father. Kaushalya, the queen mother, and all other queens will be happy. He who knows of the, and keep this in your hearts, my friend, this is the last day of satsang. Tomorrow is the preparation day for the, Salim, what's your name for the prayers? The 10-day prayers? Cheryl, talk to he. Dash Ghat. Dash means 10, Ghat means bank of the river. Today is the last satsang. Tomorrow is preparation for Dash Gatra, and then we have preparation for the Bandhara, Shrad. Thanks. Coming up, where it says, he who knows of the closeness between you and your father, he alone can judge the effort you will take in ensuring his memory is kept alive. When your brother Rama comes back home, you can tell him of all that you wish to tell him when he was gone, how you took care of your father in his last days, and how everything went well in your father's name. But this line, I want you to remember. He alone is God, who can judge the connection between Bharat and Raja Dasrath. This applies for all of us. From parent to wife, children, friends, brothers, everybody. It is God and God alone who sees the footsteps of every child on this earth. It is God and God alone who can judge and know the innermost workings of the hearts and minds of all of his children. He and he alone knows already the connection between you and his very own son. And no one can judge you like God knows. No one knows what happens in your heart and in your mind, and take all the strength in the world from this saying of Paramatumhara Ramakara Janahi So Sababedi Tumha Samabala Mahanihi. Let God alone decide how strong that connection is. And for as strong as it is, my friends, take this time going forward to ensure that he becomes the immortal name that he deserves to be. Vrindavan Bihadilal Ki Jai. I want to do one bhajan and then let's make one more note for you before we close. We're a little bit early today. Okay. And because my brother Ravi is here, instead of doing a Krishna bhajan, because Shivratri is coming up, we do a Shiv bhajan. Is okay? Okay, good. तुमको लाखों प्रणाम. I bow my head 1,000 times at your feet, O Prabhu. शिव शंकर भोले भाले भोले भक्तों के रखवाले, तुमको लाखों प्रणाम, तुमको मेरा प्रणाम। शिव शंकर भोले भाले भोले भक्तों के रखवाले, तुमको लाखों प्रणाम, तुमको मेरा प्रणाम। तुमने ये संसार बनाया, सभी तुम्हारी माया छाया। तुमने ये संसार बनाया, सभी तुम्हारी माया छाया। सर्पों की माला वाले, कैलाश पर्वत वाले, तुमको लाखों प्रणाम, तुमको मेरा प्रणाम। शिव शंकर भोले भाले भोले भक्तों के रखवाले, तुमको लाखों प्रणाम, तुमको मेरा प्रणाम। तुम जल तल में, तुम अंबर में, तुम हो नगर नगर घर घर में। तुम हो लहर लहर स्वर स्वर में, कहीं नहीं तुम हो जग भर में। डमरू को बचाना वाले, दुष्टों को मिटाना वाले, तुमको लाखों प्रणाम, तुमको मेरा प्रणाम। तुमको लाखों प्रणाम, तुमको मेरा प्रणाम। हर 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 महादेव का नारा, हर 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 महादेव का नारा, नर नारी घर घर का प्यारा। दीप तुम्हारा, तेल तुम्हारा, दुनिया का सब खेल तुम्हारा। एक खेल खिलाना वाले, त्रिभुवन को बचाने वाले, तुमको लाखों प्रणाम, तुमको मेरा प्रणाम। शिव शंकर भोले भाले भोले भक्तों के रखवाले, तुमको लाखों प्रणाम, तुमको मेरा प्रणाम। तुमको लाखों प्रणाम, तुमको मेरा प्रणाम। तुमको लाखों प्रणाम, तुमको मेरा प्रणाम। वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। शिव शंकर भगवान की जय। Okay. I find Lena singing. I don't want to have to beam and separate the audience and all that kind of thing. So how about I sing a song, huh? No, there's no bacchanal side, Sally. I can't ask Anna Ramayan. I have to ask which side is the Sohari leaf side, and which side is the plastic leaf side. I don't know. Okay, I'll sing a bhajan where the chorus is easy. The chorus is, say after me, say Ram, Ram, Ram. You got it? Easy? Okay, you want to tune for it now? I'll sing the hard part. Me and Anup will do that hard part. And you sing the chorus. Okay? Chorus goes like this. Ram, Ram, Ram. Ram, Ram, Ram. Ram, Ram, Ram. Sri Ram, Ram, Ram. You sing? Ram, Ram, Ram. Ram, Ram, Ram. Ram, Ram, Ram. Sri Ram, Ram, Ram. Sing. Ram, Ram, Ram. Ram, Ram, Ram. Ram, Ram, Ram. Sri Ram, Ram, Ram. प्रेम मोदित मन से कहो राम राम राम।
Your turn. Ram, 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 Sri Ram, Ram, Ram. पाप गते दुख मिटे लेत राम नाम, लेत राम नाम, लेत राम नाम। पाप गते दुख मिटे लेत राम नाम, भव समुद्र सुख निधान एक राम नाम। राम 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 सिंह राम राम राम, राम 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 श्री राम राम राम, राम राम राम, राम राम राम, राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। परम शांति परम ध्यान दिव्य राम नाम, दिव्य राम नाम, दिव्य राम नाम। परम शांति सुख निधान दिव्य राम नाम, निराधार को आधार एक राम नाम। राम राम राम, राम 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 सिंह राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम। परम गोप्य परम दिव्य मंत्र राम नाम, मंत्र राम नाम, मंत्र राम नाम। परम गोप्य परम दिव्य मंत्र राम नाम, संत हृदय सदा बसत एक राम नाम, संत हृदय सदा बसत, संत हृदय सदा बसत एक राम नाम। Your turn. राम राम राम, राम राम राम, राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। मात पिता बंधु सखा, मात पिता बंधु सखा सब ही राम नाम, सब ही राम नाम, सब ही राम नाम। माता पिता, माता पिता बंधु सखा सब ही राम नाम, भक्त जन जीवन धन एक राम नाम। राम 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 सिंह राम राम राम, राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। राम राम राम, राम राम राम, राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। राम राम राम, राम राम राम, राम 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 श्री राम राम राम। श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम, श्री राम राम राम। सियापति रामचंद्र की जय, वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। At 10 minutes. I just want to share one thing with you before I ask Uncle Lachman to join us for a bhajan. The great philosopher Epicurus, who was from 341 to 270 BC,
he expressed a vision, a thought, sorry, that we should not fear death. And the discussion says, in short, that the goal of life is actual happiness. Our unhappiness, however, is caused by fear. We are scared of coming home and the house is broken into. We are scared of parking the car so many cars not there. We are scared of not getting salary on the 25th or 27th or whatever day it is. We are scared of many things. We are scared of a lot of things. Because our goal in life is to be happy. But amongst all the fears that we have, our greatest fear is dying. If we can overcome the fear of death, we will live all our days to be happy. If you can overcome the fear of that any one day we shall not be here, that fear of maybe accident, disease, sickness, robbery, violence, if you can overcome that fear, you will live every single day happy. Because our lives are filled with emotions and feelings, not so? Heat, cold, energy, laziness, tiredness. We feel, we experience. Death is the end of all our sensations. Therefore, it cannot be physically a painful thing to experience. Therefore, the actual time of dying should not be feared. Because the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the skin, all the sense organs are shut down. There's nothing to transmit a signal back to the brain saying this is painful or not. You could lose a limb, you could be damaged or whatever, you'll be experiencing that pain still. But if that has come to a point where you give up this life, there's no more pain. Again, we are alive because we are conscious. Even in our unconscious state, which is like sleep, we have thoughts that fill our heads, fill our minds, and sometimes these manifest in actions afterwards. Death is the end of all this consciousness. The body is no longer connected to the mind. Therefore, the experience of death itself, the transmigration of the physical energy from within one body to the atmosphere, the energy goes from within one specific body to different parts of the universe, means that the physical body is no longer conscious to see, taste, and hear. Therefore, there is nothing to say if this is a painful experience or not. Which means that there is no fear of reaching that time. You think he would have sang any different Friday, knowing that this is the last time he'll sing? No. It wasn't even set in his mind this is the last time he'll be singing. For him, it was a regular performance because every single performance was for the people. Do every show as if this is the best show ever, the biggest show ever. Or, how they say it, this could be the last show, which it was. Therefore, as Epicurus says, don't live your life in fear of the event or eventuality of death. Don't fear death and allow the consciousness, allow all the sensations of all experiences, and allow the fearlessness of being absolutely happy, 100% happy with everything and everyone to fill all your days. Don't be afraid. Don't let your thoughts be taken up so much with, what if this is the last day? What if this is the last day? What if this is the last day? Death is nothing to any of us. It means nothing until it happens. Therefore, fix in your mind this idea of, it is not here yet, it is not happening yet, therefore it has nothing to do with me. But now you're going to argue with me that we are in the situation where we are in the absence of someone because of death. Again, you and I may in a couple days or weeks damage his physical body. That cannot happen to someone who's not here. And every single thing that happened before he left is what we are keeping as memory. For those who've had not so good memories of him, it is up to you to cherish those. Now you can look back and laugh at it. I'm sure his children and Dulehin have a whole bunch of, not so nice ones that they'll look back and laugh now. Because it's hindsight. Ravi did a whole bunch of music with him, I think more than anybody else. You can imagine how those recording sessions used to go. The amount of quarrel and this and that and all kind of thing. And now you could laugh because the end result, the end products are what will be kept for posterity. So my friends, you choose. You decide. All of us would more than decide to have all the best of the memories going forward. And if it is that someone has lived such a life that everyone has chosen to keep all the best memories, then he has done as much good as he can on this earth for as many people as he can for as long as he could have. Thank you very, very much for joining with me in these 2 days of satsang. I consider this an honor and privilege to be able to share God's word with you. I hope it brings solace to your hearts and minds, and I hope that going forward you can rely on God's very own word, that what has to happen will always happen, and trust and believe in the divine creed, the divine plan, and simply do your best to make your parents and God happy. Vrindavan Bihadilal ki jai. What can you bring?
हे राम अर्ज सुनो करतार, अर्ज सुनो करतार हो, अर्ज सुनो करतार। मुझके वत की बात न तारो, मुझके वत की बात न तारो। दशरथ नंद तुम्हार, अर्ज सुनो करतार हो, अर्ज सुनो कर करता। छू जाते ही पग से मेरे छिला बन गई नार। छू जाते ही पग से मेरे छिला बन गई नार। पापद से तो कांच है कोमल, पापद से तो कांच है कोमल। कुछ को करो विद्यार, तुम ज्ञानी हो अंतर्यामी, तुम ज्ञानी हो अंतर्यामी। मैं तो निपत गवार, अर्ज सुनो करतार हो, अर्ज सुनो करतार। धन निर्धन का यही अकेले एक कांच की नैया। धन निर्धन का यही अकेले एक कांच की नैया। बरजोरी तुम पाँव न रखना, बरजोरी तुम पाँव न रखना, मेरे राम रमैया। पार उतारूंगा सबरी जब, पार उतारूंगा सबरी जब, लूंगा पाँव पखार। अर्ज सुनो करतार हो, अर्ज सुनो करतार। मुझके वत की बात न तारो, मुझके वत की बात न तारो। दशरथ नंद तुम्हार, अर्ज सुनो करतार हो, अर्ज सुनो करतार हो, अर्ज सुनो करतार। दादा धीक दा दादा धीक दा दादा धीक। आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम, आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम। रैन बिताई कित धाम, रैन बिताई कित धाम। आए राम, आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम, आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम, आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम। सज धज तुमरी साथ हो रसिया। धनि धाधा धनि धाधा मद पग पमारि मग मग सन सन सनि स सगमग सगम पनि गम पनि सगमग सनी पमग सप सज धज तुमरी साथ हुरसिया ऐसे लगे तेरे हाथों में बसिया ऐसे लगे तेरे हाथों में बसिया जैसे बता दिलियो थाम है राम जैसे बता दिलियो थाम है राम आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम हाँ मैं न कहूँ कछु मुँह से न रूठो मैं न कहूँ कछु मुँह से न रूठो तुम खुद अपने जियरा से पूछो तुम खुद अपने जियरा से पूछो बीती कहाँ पे कल शाम आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम रे आयो कहाँ से घनश्याम
वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय सियापति रामचंद्र की जय My friends, after discussing the Lord's words for these 2 nights and for the many nights before, it is my hope and prayer that for as many individuals who have come together to say farewell would at some point in time maintain the contact that is necessary for the family to have the strength that is needed to go forward. Many a times we are simply there for one day and we're not cognizant of the days and weeks and months and years ahead. My prayer is that the family remains together, that the support system grows and grows, so that in time to come, the fraternity that has been brought together by his music shall only be stronger and not divided. May his beloved soul attain moksha, the salvation. May God have a comfortable place for him to rest. May his good karma be rewarded, and may his not so good karma be balanced out by our prayer, by our good wishes, the thoughts of our hearts and minds. And if ever he has to come back here to continue his journey of the soul, if ever his eternal journey is not yet complete, may he come back to know and experience love and care and kindness from a family just as good as this one, or better if that is even possible. May he come back to an experience where he would have the same amount of legions of fans, and may he impact as many, many lives as possible. God, take care of him wherever he is, and for whenever he has to return, guide his soul into an experience that would make generations going and coming proud. My friends, this brings us to the end of satsang this evening. Please bow your heads, close your eyes. Harihi Om. Shantakaram bhujagashenam Parvanamam Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Subhadam Lakshmikantam Kamalnainam Yogibhirdhyanagamyam Vande Vishnu Bhavavaiharam Sarvalokaikanadam Karacharnakitam va Kayajam Karmajam va Sravananenajam va Manasam va Paradam Vihitam avihitam va Sarvametatchamasva Jaya Jaya Karunabde Sri Mahadeva Shambho Jaya Jaya Karunabde Sri Mahadeva Shambho Jaya Jaya Karunabde Sri Mahadeva Shambho Kayena Vacha Manasendriyeva Buddhyatmana va Prakriti Subhava Karomi Adyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayanaayeti Samarpayami Tvameva Mata Japita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Asato Ma Sangamaya Namaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Mritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki, Sadguru Maharaj ki, Satya Sanatana Dharma ki, Sadguru ki Dandavar Jai Jai.